a look at exposure to Asia, because solid growth certainly coming through there for SABMiller.
Yes, look, SABMiller in Asia talks about Australia, which is a bit of an unusual Asian market, but then China is a big and important country for them. They've got that joint venture with China Resources, which is a big brewer in China, and they have that brand called Snow. China, of course, is a market where a lot of sales happen, but sometimes profits don't exactly follow. So whilst they're very positive about China, you don't see much contribution from China in terms of the bottom line. India, I think, is again slightly more attractive, although there are issues about alcoholic consumption in that market. But then all these supplementary markets. I mean, you will not believe how many people live in places like Pakistan and Bangladesh, people who don't really have high disposable incomes, but that's where it's going to come from in due course.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's also the weather that plays a factor on Chinese sales in the beer market. Warmer weather in China helped the company post profits in the fourth quarter after the country's coldest winter, I believe, in 28 years in the third quarter. So it's also dependent on weather patterns, it seems.
Yeah, it is, and in Europe as well, which is surprising, had a very cold winter, yet the sales have been good so far. But I think if you take a look at it closely, on the Australian side, they've bought into very good brands, into Foster's, and they've started to rekindle that brand. And they're doing quite well in Australia, which is quite surprising for a lot of analysts that initially thought, it's a market that they shouldn't really go into. There's too many people in that beer market, it's not really going to grow, and they've actually turned that around quite nicely. On the Chinese side, pricing power is a problem, because there's so many different people brewing, there's local brewers, and it's difficult to get pricing power, and that's why you don't really see the returns come all the time. So pricing power in China is a problem, but Asia is definitely a growth area, and it's going to carry on growing. And they'll start to bring in these innovations about the different types of bottles, etc., and they'll bring it through all of their markets.
The same holds true for BAT as well, because only Asia Pacific saw markets lighting up more than in the previous year. We had cigarette volumes up 6.7% in the latest results.
Look, Asians seem to love to smoke. My goodness, the propensity there. Apparently, more than 50% of Asian men smoke. So there are 7 billion people on the planet. It's predicted by the World Health Organization 1 billion of them will die from tobacco-related industries or illnesses. It's not the women, you'll be happy to know, it's the men, because only like 11% of women smoke. And when it comes to China, unfortunately, it's a closed market. There, the state owns all the cigarette companies. I'm not sure why. It's different to beer. But markets in Indonesia, and I mean, BAT bought Bentoel. They make cigarettes with cloves there. Oh, my goodness, incredible sales. They've moved masses of numbers of Asians into these 4 global growth brands. Why? Because Asians, apart from loving smoking, are also very brand obsessed in general. I'm generalizing here. So that's been a great sale for them.
Yeah, taking a look at your assessment of that playing field for them, bearing in mind that you highlighted competition within the beer space specifically. How's competition looking within the cigarette space?
Obviously, there's a lot of competition there. There's Japan Tobacco. That was very dominant in that area as well. But illicit cigarettes in those sectors are quite a problem. So China, there's a lot of illicit cigarettes, and in the Asian markets in general, India as well. So that's something that they have to try to get a hand on. And then also taxes haven't been a big issue in those areas, but now all governments are looking for money. So there could be some tax coming through on that area as well. But generally, a market that likes to smoke, if you don't want to smoke, don't smoke. And if you want to, well, it's your own health problem. So they're happy not to legislate that.